Muchísimas gracias a todos los que nos están siguiendo
Thank
en este
you,
segundo
everyone
Foro
who are
Internacional de
following
Innovación en la Justicia.
in this
Agradecemos
second
al panel que
international forum
acaba de
of
concluir
justice
sobre
innovation
competencias de las
within the
personas
last panel
operadoras.
on the
Y a
competences of the
continuación
operators. And
damos
now
paso a la
we
clausura y
are
cierre de este
going
foro,
to
invitándolos
start
a que puedan
the closure
seguirnos
of
en
this
nuestras redes
event, and we
sociales,
invite
en
you to
nuestro
follow
canal de
us on our
YouTube
social
y
media
visitar
and
nuestra página
on our YouTube channel and at
www.mexicoevalua.org.
www.mexicoevalua.org
Para la clausura y el
official
cierre
website.
nos
For the
acompañan
closing,
Edna
we
Jaime,
have here
directora general de
Mr.
México
Nahabet,
Evalúa,
Director General of Mexico
María José
Evalua,
Salcedo de la
Maria
Fundación
Jose
Friedrich
Salcedo
Naumann
for the
para la
Friedrich
América
Naumann
Latina,
Foundation for Latin America,
Olga Regina García
Olga
López,
Regina Garcia
presidenta
Lopez,
del Tribunal
President
Supremo de
of
Justicia de
the
San Luis
Superior Court of
Potosí,
Justice of the
y
Mexican
Ernestina
Federal State
Godoy,
of San Luis Potosí,
fiscala
and
general de
Ernestina
Justicia de la Ciudad
Godoy,
de México.
Attorney General's Office of
Doy la
Mexico
palabra
City.
a Edna
Now I
Jaime.
give the floor to Edna
Muchísimas
Jaime.
gracias.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Enrique. It's been 3 days of intense work in which very transcendental topics were addressed both for the present and the future of justice. Actually, I warm-heartedly, I thank all the participants of the event for their time, for sharing their ideas, for their reflections around all of these topics that have got to be a central public agenda, how to adopt digital technologies in the enhancement of the state's administration of justice response, how to achieve a responsive institutions, that is how to increase the responsive capacity of institutions faced to the service demands by the citizens, and in other words, how to increase justice quality. And this concerns everything that I have just said by using innovation. Throughout these 3 days, we have discussed about many topics, about the big advances in terms of AI and the limits that it can have in justice administration. Throughout these conversations, it was highlighted that the automation and prediction of specific processes can be a support tool, but not a replacement of the judging people. We also discussed about the health emergency by COVID-19 accelerated and expedited the adoption of technologies and digital tools for the improvement of management and to facilitate access to justice. At several tables, we discussed the dilemmas and risks in the use of technologies and how our information is managed and protected, cybersecurity that is, and which measures we have to adopt and how we can move forward in a culture of data protection and of awareness of our digital rights. We spoke as well about intersectionalities and the proposals that can be implemented to bridge the gaps and inequalities from the gender perspective all the way up to the inclusion of groups such as migrants. We analyzed the climate justice challenges and the potential of alternative justice. We spoke as well of impunity and of the different ways to face it. This is a very current topic in today's Mexico. The first conclusions, I have to say that we have to process this information, have to go over the panels again, and we have to take the most powerful ideas to present to you later on as a memoir or as a video, the findings and the most relevant conclusions. However, allow me to talk to you about the learnings and what draw my attention the most, how every technology being adopted must place at the center the people. This is not about playing with technology just for the sake of it. It's about using it to better serve. But any innovation must acknowledge the huge gaps that exist today. It seems that in today's digital world, this is some kind of illusion, right? In the world, in the non-virtual world, in we have a big gaps, and it would be amazing that these are disappearing in the digital world, but no, they exist here as well. And every innovation must acknowledge these gaps. They exist, and also in the digital world. And this must be a topic for discussion in terms of justice innovation. Innovation must entail the bridging of these gaps. So person-centered justice, improvement of quality of life, innovations that allow for the interaction between the citizens, the civil society, and the authorities, innovations that bring services together to demands, brings closer to demands and actual demands. Out of all of this, about all of this we discussed throughout these 3 days, and an important element that has to go hand in hand with innovation is open justice. Without it, it would be difficult to move forward around innovation that we are considering throughout these fora. We have just to put these discussions to the public. Finally, our conviction, this is in a real change, operational change. That's why within the framework of this forum, we wanted to take specific problems and propose innovative solutions to show that these discussions do not belong to the ideal world, to the abstractions world. These are replicable and duplicable. I have the great honor to tell you that for this closure, there are people that I respect and appreciate a lot. I will start with Miss Maria Salcedo. She's coordinator of Mexico project of the Friedrich Haumann Foundation, whose support has been pivotal and decisive for this forum to be held. I want to respectfully greet Judge for the Supreme Court of Justice of St. Louis Potosí. It's a pleasure to greet in the Senator Attorney General of Mexico City. And she's always ready to be with us because she believes in innovation and in transformation for good and for the good of the Mexicans. Thank you very much, Attorney General. And now I will give the floor to Maria Jose Salcedo for her to address her closing remarks. Thank you. Thank you very much, Edna. I also want to greet and acknowledge and thank for being here at the closing of this speech with such women. And I want to believe that innovation and we as women can also promote something around the topic of justice. And on behalf of the Friedrich Haumann Foundation, I want to tell you why we decided to bet on innovation. And as Edna said at the beginning of this forum, the consequence of the pandemic and the lockdown situation made more evident the need to digitalize not just the economy, but also the public institutions to have an economic reactivation. It's nice to have reactivation of human rights, and governments not just in Mexico, but throughout in the world and even in Germany. And I'm surprised when I'm asked that even in Germany, there is a crisis of institutional agility, where obsolete technologies are being used which are insufficient to face technologies that nobody could have foreseen, as is and continues to be this COVID-19 pandemic. And at the same time, bureaucracy and the systems that we have, not just in Mexico, as I am telling you, all around the world, the 20th century, and to face the 21st century challenges, we have to consider the aspirations of the new generations that are born being digital. And this obliges all of the systems to think about the future and the citizens that we have to attract so that they continue thinking and living in the future of a country. Without a future vision, that talent will leave to a country that can offer them better opportunities. And it's necessary for our citizens and for us as Mexicans to believe that there can be a future in Mexico. From the foundation, we're betting on innovation because as a liberal foundation organization, we are always wondering how we can promote and strengthen the rule of law of democracies in a more innovative way or differently. Promoting the rule of law marketing. I mean, it concerns the collaboration in which we have the relation between the government, the governor, the governing bodies and the governees, and this has goes to be a tool of approach. And we know that technology can polarize societies or can set us apart, but also it can be the mechanism that can bring us together. And these were 3 days of amazing ideas to convince ourselves that technology is the mechanism that exists and that we must use for dispute resolution through which we can recover the social tissue, which is so necessary in countries such as Mexico. And at the same time, it's important for technology to continue progressing and that a new international challenges arise, technology will continue to streamline. And as Chris said throughout the tables of the fora that I had the honor to moderate, like that of impunity, it doesn't mean that we have to use technology all the time, but we have to think about doing things so differently and not just to come up with the new black thread of things and practice that throughout these 3 days have become and represent an opportunity for operators, members of the public sector, the civil society to exchange those ideas. And even if we know that the burden is huge in Mexico, technology and those tools are there to be used and to expedite processes. But also something that I'm going to taking from the last panel is that the members of the academia and students must rethink and update the syllabus, the syllabi, and internet, big data, social media, and everything that can support in a justice administration. As I was a student, and I'm surprised that the syllabi remain the same, the curricula remain the same, and that's why even if the justice system is lagging in Mexico, we can see how technology can help us to reduce corruption, impunity, and open that communication between operators and the citizens up. And actually, the truth is that I want to thank Mexico a lot for all of their efforts and their endeavors in organizing and the selection of the panelists, and also the team in Mexico because of all of the organization needed for these fora, and also the technical part. So this was available for you on YouTube and for you to enjoy this. And as I said, let's continue looking for resonance space. This must not remain here. Take it to your tables, to your classrooms, to your authorities, and it should not just remain here. And let's continue looking for spaces of dialogue. Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria Jose. The truth is that you have made us all very excited because innovation has good indeed a technological aspect to it. And I think that as civil servants, as members of CSOs, we have to look for the public policies, for the government responses, for the relationship between ourselves, to look for innovation, to find more efficient solutions to our common problems. So I'm happy about, I'm excited about your enthusiasm, and we share this conviction. And the foundation has it very clear as a goal in its agenda, and this makes it possible for us to continue promoting our own goals of our own agenda. And it's good that we have common points between our agendas. Now I want to give the floor to Judge Olga Regina Garcia Lopez. Judge, thank you for being, Your Honor, thank you for being with us today. And it's a pleasure to have such a representative of the judiciary, because I would love to listen to your perspective with regards to what was discussed throughout this forum and the role of innovation in the work of judges. The floor is yours. Thank you very much. For me, it's an honor to be today on behalf of the judiciary of the Mexican Federal State of San Luis Potosí, and to have this opportunity to greet Professor Edna Jaime, Professor Crisel Rosales, Maria Jose Salcedo, and especially the Attorney General Ernestina Godoy. Today, we are here as a women representative of the different fora and for the different trenches from which we are working. I think that this innovation forum which Mexico Evalúa has been concerned about technology and progress, but also about the human side. This has been highlighted throughout the talks that we have had throughout these days, and I fully agree. In Mexico, as we know, since 2008, we have had substantial reforms that have changed the way and the perspective from which the ways in which and the perspective from which we judge. And now this COVID-19 pandemic made it even more clear that concern for new tools, new technologies. But now it was evident that we had this need to streamline the judiciary, because this will allow to bring justice closer to the citizens, and this will allow us to breach those gaps. And today, the largest share of the public can be in trainings and even in the judicial hearings that have been developed. I think that it's common to all the Mexican courts that draw on the technologies that we were already using, and the way to administer justice was reinvented, because we know that sometimes technology is not so accessible for everyone, and for the courts themselves, that this was quite complex, and it remains so, and it remains a process that we are undergoing. But I think that our will to continue administering justice and not to lose contact with the users made us do a lot with the little we had. So in the state of San Luis Potosi, we were conducting video conferences, activities with minors, because we did not want that harmony to be broken up between parents and children, because they had the right to see their parents, and the pandemic did not allow for this material closeness. And in the state of San Luis Potosi, this worked, and these family activities worked very well. And also in terms of civil mercantile cases, and also this allowed us to have platforms, and we never imagined to have users 500 users listening to a speaker of high level speakers who were training our staff, because that was the other side of the technological coin. We had to train all of us to learn to use platforms, Zoom, and how to communicate, and the staff was attentive. I want to acknowledge them, and through my voice I want to thank the staff of all of the courts who learned to move from a reading and paper to the use of technologies. We had a very positive elements and tools that facilitated that justice administration. Likewise, this allowed to identify needs in the most remote places. For instance, in San Luis Potosi, we still have indigenous peoples who speak Tenec, Huasteco, and this highlighted the need to bring this technology closer to the most remote communities of our state. Gender perspective is being applied, but it must go hand in hand as well with technology. Otherwise, it will not reach those remote places that our vulnerable peoples need so much. We have a lot of hope that these strategies that we have been developing at the court generated that closeness. And in our case, itinerating justice facilitated to be present through technology and to communicate and how to hold our hearings because we have labor justice since last year and it's been a year now. And resources weren't enough to reach all the municipalities. But with this, through video conferences and through what we call itinerant traveling justice, we were able to reach them, and this was very motivating. And I know that there is a lot to do, and court we're still undergoing this reinvention process. But I would like to acknowledge each and every one of the judiciary, and we are sharing some of the platforms of the tools that we were using, because this improved unanimously at the national level. Of course, I celebrate this type of encounters that allow us to expose the innovative ways for justice administration, and also it concerns the future challenges to and we have to guarantee more and we need to guarantee more expeditious trials. Thank you very much, Judge. I'm listening to all the advances you have had and how they were expedited by the pandemic. And in Mexico, Ecuador, we have a series of documents that concern the innovation and good practices in digital justice. We are working on some guidelines to direct those judiciaries that are only starting this journey, and how they can take very sound steps. And we are also conducting a diagnosis. So we have an idea of where each judiciary is in this process. And we have a series of documents that we are going to which we're going to add the learnings of these for us. So we are building a very good base of good practices and knowledge of practical exercises. And I think that little by little, this can help us transform deeply, always bearing in mind that we have to bridge the gaps. That's my main concern in terms of the digital world. And let's not bring inequalities in access to justice to the digital world. Thank you very much, Judge. And now I want to give the floor to Attorney General Ernestina Godoy. You know how much I appreciate your presence here with us for this closing. And I'm going to be very happy, and all the public, of course, to listen to your perspective with regards to justice and innovation, and with regards to your own initiatives in this field. The floor is yours. Thank you very much. It's a great honor for me to be at this closing table. I greet my women colleagues of this table, Maria Jose Salcedo, Your Honor. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. And above all, I want to thank Edna, because she's always thinking about the Mexico City prosecutor's office. And I completely agree with the vision of those who organized and coordinated and took part in at this forum with about justice innovation, and that innovation has to be present all the time at the institutions that are responsible for guaranteeing access to justice for people. As some of you know, because I have said this everywhere I go, Mexico City's Public Prosecutor's Office has been for 2 years already in a transition process towards a new justice administration model. We inherited from the past many inefficient working ways and an institutional culture that did not prioritize the protection of people's human rights and the effective dispute resolution. One of the goals of our transition process is to streamline all of the activities of our institution, including the reception of complaints, the management of cases flow, the segmentation towards the different types of solutions or responses, the distribution of the institutional resources to achieve criminal policy goals and the coordinated work with other justice institutions. Moreover, technology must be a key element in improving investigational techniques by our technical staff. And also, we need to look for efficacy, but also good service and protection of human rights with a gender perspective. I want to tell you how the innovation and the use of technological advances are helping us in this transition and how we are planning to continue this streamlining. One first way to streamline this is data management that has become a core tool for our administration. We have created a statistics and transparency unit with which we have enhanced our databases and our methodologies for information analysis to better understand criminal phenomena and to monitor the acts of our staff and to measure the efficacy of our investigations and to assess our progress and results. Thanks to the management, to the data management, we better understand opportunity areas of our work in our offices. And with this, we can design reforms for our processes and organization ways. We are building differentiated answers for the way in which we address cases and directing some to non-criminal solutions and prioritizing the use of investigation resources to prosecute gender and high impact crimes according to our criminal policy. Another streamlining process is the search for the improvement of case traceability. That is the capacity to know at all times who are the responsible for these and the stage at which they are, the investigation activities have been conducted and what the results of these have been when they are sent to other areas and when determinations and other formalities are conducted. And thanks to this, we have been able to identify gender violence cases which are ready to be tried, but that had been lost in the sea of open cases. And we have also been capable of detect and sanctioning corruption cases of abusive acts against users or against the accused people. In the future, we plan to continue developing technologies that will allow us to better understand criminal phenomena from maps and scoreboards that will allow us to study incidents in real time all the way up to analysis technologies for the investigation through patterns and case association. A third streamlining process that is outstanding is the digital investigation file. Right now, most investigation file and ministerial investigation files are in writing. Furthermore, to request the actions by other units or to transfer the case to another person, we must send a messenger with the folder and the investigation file in writing. So that's one of the reasons why the citizens think that the public prosecutor's office is inefficient, and that's why people have to go from one agency to the other without receiving information about the case, without exactly knowing who is the responsible for this investigation. We are about to finish this year, and next year we will start with the implementation of a new platform called Justice Comprehensive Information System, say Spanish acronym, and this will allow us to manage investigation files in a completely digital way and to reduce the use of paper and to facilitate communication between the public prosecutor offices, investigation offices, expert offices, and to connect this to the judiciary and the civil security agencies to facilitate information exchange and the efficient realization of formalities and processes. We believe that this system will improve our capacity to provide a good service to the citizens. I want to mention some advances in terms of innovation and streamlining in crime investigation, the project with the greatest scope we have undertaken is the DNA Bank, Mexico City DNA Bank for genetic profiles. So this bank that has already been built, that is already equipped, and that is in the process to be certified, will have the capacity to process all the way up to 6,000 genetic profiles a month with the strictest standards internationally. Our investigation police is in the process of a very deep transformation, and this will go through the improvement of the agent's profile and the use of tools. And that's why we have invested in equipment and tools to create a Directorate General of Intelligence that had not existed before at the office. And this will allow us to create network links that would be fit should we need to do them by ourselves. And this is going to help us in the clarification of cases. The prosecutor's office does not consider streamlining as an end in itself, but as a tool to achieve our core goals, to place the victim at the center of our work and to address social demands of justice and security, and to find criminal phenomena ever more complex. We must boost the characteristics of the autonomy of the justice administration institutions for the designing of innovative mechanisms and tools that may not be so traditional, but that will allow for a greater access to justice for citizens in an efficient and simple way. I hope that what we are sharing with you today will help us further, and will help further all institutions to join the streamlining, the innovation of access to justice, the justice administration that is our responsibility, but also the justice administration that is the responsibility of the judiciary. I thank you very much, and I congratulate the organizers for such a necessary and appropriate event that will ring the start for all of us to improve our work, so we can continue opening the doors of justice up to the citizens. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, prosecutor. You say, I think a lot of Mexico City public prosecutor's office, and it's true because I have a big expectations about and for your transformation. And what you have presented today just confirms or sustains my expectations. So congratulations, prosecutor, and thank you very much for having been with us for this closing. And well, I just have to close this event. And I want to thank everyone who made it possible. And I'm speaking about the researchers who took part in these, experts, and also the teams both of Mexico Evalua and from the Friedrich Haumann Foundation, which invested a lot of energy and were convinced and believed in this edition, and that made it possible for this edition to fully achieve its goal. And we are putting at the table very important topics. And I hope that what we have just discussed and the specific points that were elaborated throughout this reform can become a justice transformation agenda for the country. You listen to the judge, to the public prosecutor. This transformation is ongoing. And believe me that I think, and I have said this a lot, that should we manage to transform justice, this country will change forever. And what we want is to offer more discussion elements, more available tools for this to be a possibility. At 5:42 p.m., Thursday, 18th of November, 2021, I officially close this second International Forum of Justice Innovation, and I wish that its goals have been fully achieved. We see you next year for a third edition. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias a todos los participantes, a todos nuestros ponentes, panelistas, a todas las personas que nos siguieron a lo largo de este segundo Foro Internacional de la Innovación en la Justicia, organizado por México Evalúa y la Fundación Friedrich Naumann. Les agradecemos a todos su tiempo y pueden seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales, en nuestro canal de YouTube, en nuestra página de internet www.mexicoevalua.org, donde subimos nuestros análisis y propuestas de política pública. Que tengan muy buena tarde.